Ken's in there.
Ken's in there.
Oh, Ken's in there? Oh, good.
Quiet. And give me the 5 minute, 5-5-7 countdown.
Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm your host, Josie Way, and tonight with us we have as co-host Joe Higgins, and our guest is Myrna Westgate. Now, Myrna I've met through my spiritualist experiences, but we've shared that we also both have an attraction to Buddhism. And tonight, Myrna would like to, she's a student, a longtime student of Buddhism, and she would like to share some of her wisdom.
Oh.
Now, how did you get started with studying Buddhism?
Well, it was actually an accident. A neighbor of mine was getting divorced and wasn't dealing well with it, and he said, you know, there's this Buddhist class down in New Bedford, and we went down there, and he dropped out because it wasn't quick enough. He wanted a quick answer, and I continued to study, and I did some, studied in 2 different places in Boston, and did some retreats with the Buddhists in New York, and found meditation for me is fairly easy. It's not easy for everyone, but in Buddhism, you know, the path that is prescribed is through meditation, through self-examination, and listening to the teachings. And the teachings of the Buddha, Buddha was on the planet 2,500 years ago, and he actually did 84,000 sermons, but they were all very short, because the monks would sit around and he would repeat the sermon and they would memorize them. And that's how Buddhism was passed down through the...
Before there was a lot of writing.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
It's fascinating.
I think it was 400, in the year 400, when some of the Buddha's sermons were actually put into writing. And by that time, you know, like all of mankind, there were 5 different schools, and some of them said you have to do this, and some of them you said you had to do that, and so there are various schools, and Buddhism can get very complicated. You know, there are 96 different Buddhas in charge of 96 different things, but the original message that Gautama Buddha sent out to us was that life, just by definition, is suffering. And when you hear the word suffering, people say, oh, you know, I don't suffer. I'm a little uncomfortable. You know, this happened, that happened. But that's the best translation of the original language. And it just means that things happen to you in life that you don't like. You know, sometimes they're more traumatic, sometimes they're physical, emotional, sometimes they're mental, sometimes, you know, you lose, well, the loss of loved ones, you know, that's another thing.
Yes.
And the inspiration behind all of what the Buddhists do, and there are many rituals and many things that go on, but what I took out of it was that we can control how we choose to react.
Our responses.
Yes, the way we respond to circumstances, and that allows us to be at peace.
Yeah, calm and peaceful.
So we can control our state of mind
Yes.
through how we choose to accept or deal with life's predicaments.
Exactly. Exactly.
So this is something that was taught, like you say, over 2,000 years ago, and we see a lot of it now in different books, and and they just put it out there, like but it all originates. It sounds like from
Mindfulness, cognitive therapy.
Absolutely. A lot
Comes
of
from the
the
basis of
psychological work is focused on that.
Even NLP, has touches on it.
Yes, it does. Yeah, yeah.
just from the basic teachings of Buddha.
Yeah, that's it. It's very simple, but it's also very complicated because we're programmed to want things to stay the same. We don't want the boat to be rocked. It sits there, and I don't know where it comes from, but if you think back to a time of stress, you get this gut feeling before you even know what you're thinking of feeling. Your gut kicks in and you know something's wrong. And that's the point where the Buddha's telling us that we can stop and we can take that second. And I'm going to use the word patience, and be patient. Stay with that moment. Feel those feelings. But don't react the way that we have been programmed to. And that goes back to the function of our mind. The subconscious mind has all the, I'm going to say junk, all the good stuff, all the horrible stuff, all the
hardwired stuff.
Yes, yes. But, we need to go back and say, okay, I've done this. This particular thing has happened to me, 20 times, and I've done the same thing every time. And let's pick anger. Okay, I've gotten angry. I said horrible things to some people, and did it change anything? No. We don't change things by overreacting. We don't change things by not stopping and actually thinking about it and say, what is it I'm feeling? Is this feeling commensurate with what's going on here? Can I do this another way without, getting my whole system upset, producing acid in my stomach, producing headaches, and just bringing in that negative energy into your physical body.
And that behavior, it can also become addictive and self-fulfilling.
It is addictive, period. It doesn't become. We repeat patterns.
And it attracts negativity.
Yes, it does.
It attracts more of the same to you till you learn how to deal with it in a softer way.
Yes. When you go through life, if you choose, it's a choice after we start thinking about it, but I think we don't even know that we have a choice. We don't tell each other we have a choice, that you can choose to behave differently, that you can choose to, have somebody come up and say something really rotten to you, and you can choose to go, that's not mine. That's not mine. And it changes. It changes your energy field. It changes the field that,
Changes
overlaps.
the dynamics of the interaction.
Absolutely. And it changes yourself, because then you've actually experienced the fact that you can choose a different path. One of my favorite, the first big aha that I got when I started studying Buddhism was that anger is a totally useless emotion. Because I liked to get angry. I thought I enjoyed it, and I thought,
Some people they do enjoy it.
Yeah, I do. And I said, I'm standing up for my rights. I'm taking care of myself. I'm not going to let anybody walk over me. And I walked out of that particular session, and I went, really? And then, I started thinking about it. And then I started going back, not in an obsessive way, but saying, I lost that friendship. My motto was my way or the highway, kind of. I wasn't cruel, but I definitely knew what I wanted and what I didn't want. And I thought about it, and I said, really, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to get angry because it doesn't change anything.
No.
And then you have spent all your energy getting angry, building up this negative force field around yourself, taking it out on your physiological system, when you could have stood back and said, let's evaluate this. Do I want to keep this friendship with Joe, who just insulted me? Let me think about it. Well,
Yes.
I've known Joe. I've known Joe for a lot of years, and he's taught me some things. I've taught him some things, and this is one moment in time, and I can choose another path. And the problem is we're so self-centered, and we are self-centered. We go through our lives, we are miserable because we don't get what we want.
We attach ourselves to things and events.
That's a big Buddhist word.
Desire and attachment.
Desire and attachment. And the attachment word is it's a translation, it's a westernization of the concept. But the attachment really means if you're sitting there and things are going along well, and all of a sudden something happens, someone cuts you off on the highway, your boss is miserable to you, your relationship has become difficult. And instead of being able to be centered, mindful, and maybe even creative about dealing with those situations, you just get that gut feeling, and you're off and running into your favorite habits. And we all have habits and addictions on how we go through our life.
So what's a common or a practice that someone can do to start reconditioning themselves so maybe a new habit would be a more peaceful understanding of Buddhism?
Well, the first thing you have to do is be very honest about who you are and how you behave. I mean, we all have patterns, I was comfortable with anger. Some people are comfortable with being a martyr. Some people are comfortable with being passive-aggressive. You have to pick, say, okay, this is big. I see this in my life. I see the anger in my life. I see.
So it's self-analysis. You have to really be honest with yourself.
And it's really quick if you're honest. It's and you don't. I mean, I'm not
what's
talking.
the expression? You have to admit there's a problem before you can resolve it.
And that's easy. Are you miserable? If everything that happens to you in your life becomes this huge drama, and if the results of your behaviors are emotional stress, physical stress, where you end up getting depressed, or you end up, behaving in reckless ways that can hurt you. That's very, very easy to recognize. I think the problem is we don't have an easy solution. And my easy solution was, I said, okay, this I did at the grocery store. I said, what do you do at the grocery store? And I observed my behavior at the grocery store. And I'm an introvert, so I don't need to tell everybody So I'm walking through the grocery store and I'm going, you're always looking down, You know, you're avoiding eye contact. You're not smiling. You're going as fast as you can to get this task done, because I'm a very task-oriented person. And, you know, I said, okay. And then the next time I went to the grocery store, I said, all right, these are the behaviors I'm going to change. Slowed down, looked around, and, you know, I would look people in the eye. I would start to smile. And it isn't that I'm unfriendly. It's just that I was unconscious about this.
You're on a mission.
Yeah,
Many people are.
Yeah. You know, I'm like
Yeah.
task-oriented. It's got to be, you
But
know.
it was the end goal of getting the groceries rather than the trip, the journey
Yes.
of being there.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, I missed stuff. And I went, wow, this is different.
So a lot of people, you know, feel when they go grocery shopping or something, it's stressful because there's, you know, they're limited in time, and you know, there's people all over, and I want to go get that, but there's a line there.
Yeah.
But if they begin to think the way you do, they actually might be able to enjoy it, and it doesn't have to turn into a stressful. Oh, we got to go shopping today.
Well, the drive home from you know, or to work can be very, very stressful. But if you have a different outlook and attitude that it's part of the whole experience,
Yeah.
it can become, well, I
can
can look at the scenery a little
You can
bit.
transform it.
Yeah.
You can say to yourself, you know, there's nothing I can do about this. There's nothing I can do to change it. And you can start looking in other people's windows. Look at the cars that pass by you.
Right.
You know?
But if you're
And
stuck in a traffic jam, it's still your blood
Yeah.
pressure going up this instant. There's nothing I can do
Yeah.
about it. So I'm going to try to enjoy this, you know, at the minimum, you know, just not let it affect my blood pressure or my
Right.
anger. Or,
I'll just be passive,
Yep.
you know? I'll be passive. And you feel better. You're less stressed. You're less tired.
you probably sleep better too and eat.
I sleep
Yeah.
like a baby.
Yeah.
Boom, gone. You know, it's like, you know, I don't go through, you know, a lot of people at the end of the day will go through, you know, I did this, I did that, I did that,
Oh.
someone did this, someone did
The
that,
review.
someone did that, the review. You know, what, you know, Buddhism is very common sense. And it's like, okay, you know, we do these things, but, you know, let me think about it. Is this a good thing? Very simple question, and there's always a very simple answer. And then, you know, go through your day with the awareness that, you know, you don't want to buy into that anymore.
And the more you practice it, the more you do that, it gets a little more easier.
And then you're reprogramming your subconscious mind, you know, that has all these things. You know, the subconscious mind does not differentiate between reality, truth, lies, and, you know, the mishigash that someone else said over there. It takes it in. And then it's sitting down there, and it's feeding you. It's feeding your daily life.
Yeah.
And
So so your body can react the same way if you're being chased by a great white shark as if you're stuck in traffic.
yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the adrenaline, everything goes crazy.
Exactly. You know, the woolly mammoth is after you.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we just have to reprogram ourselves to be aware of it, number one, and to kind of try to settle ourselves down and realize, you know,
Yeah.
this is a different situation.
Yeah, at the beginning, the steps for me were, okay, you know, this is not good. This is not good. And, you know, it was like, all right, I can just not go there. And then it was, you know, this isn't too good. I'm not going to go the usual route. And I think I see another path that I can take.
Well, it goes back to the very heart and beginning of Buddha's life and how he lived in wealth and affluence, and that when he saw what everyone else was living, he became an ascetic and lived in extreme poverty. And then one day when he was meditating, as he had been taught to do by the other ascetics, he realized that the middle road that was that encompassed everything was the path. And
Not the extremes.
Not the
Yes.
extremes. Yeah, and he was, the story was he didn't leave his palace home until he was 35, I believe. And he had never seen disease, death,
Sickness.
poverty, all the other. And he walked out of the palace and he saw someone dying, and, and he saw a few other things.
he
and
took it
left.
very strongly to heart.
Yes, he did.
So
yes, he did.
what are some of the steps that the average person, I know we talked about a little bit earlier, meditation is one way to get that self-realization.
Yeah.
Breathing exercises, anything in particular that we can, our viewers might be able to...
I would recommend meditation. I think many people find meditation kind of overwhelming, and the expectation from the literature I've read, from a lot of the teachers out there, the expectation is that within 3 weeks, this is the American expectation. Within 3 weeks, I'm going to be able to sit down for half an hour and have no thoughts. Give myself that space. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. But I think if you're beginning, the mindfulness approach, start there. Start noticing if something exciting happens in your life that, you feel yourself getting hooked. Just like this has happened. She has said that to me 3 times, and she's saying it to me again, and it's wrong. If she's being mean to me or whatever the situation. When you feel the hook, tell yourself you don't have to react. Then as you get that, and you think, okay, I can do that. And then you walk away and you wait for the reaction. And we all have a reaction, like, I didn't stand up for myself, I was humiliated, all of that.
Side garbage.
Yeah. And you realize, okay, I stopped. And I stopped that. How do I feel? And you realize that it's okay. It wasn't the best of experiences, maybe.
But you don't have that feedback garbage that you
Because
get.
right after the hook, we start telling the story.
We analyze it and we tell ourselves the
Yep.
story.
We pull all the junk up from the subconscious mind and said, Tom did this to me in 1936. Harry did this to me in 1937. And, we pull, and then it just grows. It builds. We build it with our stories.
And we give it
Yeah.
power.
We do. And it takes over.
There's a slightly different perspective on all of this. You're talking about people with strong responses, but there are also people who are passive, and they're not in the middle road either. They need to be more assertive, and they don't stand up for themselves, and they consistently don't stand up for themselves. And they need to say, this is something I need to do more of for me, that I need to let people know how I feel about these things, rather than holding it all in.
But don't be attached to it.
No.
Yeah.
I think the attachment is what is like the anchor that's going to drag you back down.
It is.
You can still stand up for yourself and not be attached to,
You can,
all those things, connotations that go along with me. I deserve better. I deserve this.
Yeah, it's about me.
You
It's
know.
me and you.
Right.
We are not together. There's me and there's you.
Yeah.
And passivity in a way is a lot like anger.
Yeah, it's
But the anger is turned towards you,
Inward.
yourself. The anger is turned inward towards yourself. And that's, being totally passive. I've never been totally passive. I'm trying, it's like, Never really thought about that, but
Yeah.
I know that, that because of our self-absorption, anger is like the big word up here, and we turn it outward, or we turn it inward, and all the little words down below, they all jealousy,
They're all
envy,
triggers.
revenge, irritation, aggravation, you don't understand me, put the cap back on the toothpaste.
Right.
All of this.
The small stuff to the big stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all, a minor irritation gets your blood pressure up a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're wearing out. We're wearing ourselves out.
Yeah,
Physically.
biologically.
Burning ourselves out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are.
There's an expression like, oh, that person has my number, or, a situation has my number. Change the number,
That's right. That's
and change it by
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
awareness.
It all boils down to fear. And, whether it's
Yeah.
anger turned inward or outward, it all boils down to fear. And the opposite of fear is love.
Yes.
And Buddhism advocates a great deal of love and compassion.
Kindliness.
The expression namaste
Yeah.
means my higher self recognizes and honors your higher self.
Yeah, it's true. And we've got the idea that we love ourselves when we get angry and step up, and are aggressive, and we're looking to get even. We're looking for justice, and we're not. No, we're getting, the Buddhists don't believe in souls, but, we're doing our own soul damage. That spirit, that connection, the divine spark, and, that's the other side of me.
Your essence.
The essence, yes. We're dulling it, we're damaging it. When we can choose to, be centered in who we are, and allow other people to be who they are, and not get attached to, you've got to be like me. You have to be like me. I won't be happy unless you are like me.
Yeah.
And, but it is.
It takes practice.
It does take practice, but you can do
lot.
practice in 2 or 3 minutes a day.
2 or 3 minutes, just, yeah?
2 or 3 minutes a day,
Couple-
being aware.
And,
Being aware.
and it can be 2 or 3 times a day.
Yes, it can. Absolutely.
If you know for a fact that certain times of the day you're stressed, those are good times to make an extra 2 minutes or 3 minutes to
And breathe.
unstress and just breathe.
Breathe.
Take yourself out of the situation.
Yeah.
Mentally, or, step back mentally.
Yes, yes.
Even though you're still present.
Yeah.
Excuse me a minute. I have to say thank you to all of our guests in the audience here, the viewing audience, and thank you for being with us. And thank you very much for co-hosting, Mr. Joe Higgins.
It was
Thank
a great
you.
time.
And
Hopefully I can
thank
do it
you
again.
Thank you for being our guest, Ms.
Thank
Myrna
you for
Westgate.
inviting me.
Thank you for sharing
Good.
It was a
your
pleasure.
views on
It was a nice
Buddhism.
discussion. Yeah.
Very nice.
If
Yeah.
there's one last thing you would like to leave the audience with about Buddhism, what would you like to say?
That's what I like to say. Don't believe everything that's in front of your eyes. Go behind your eyes. Go into your heart, your mind, and trust that.
Very wise.
Yes.
Buddha.
Thank you.
Buddha would be proud of you.
Yes.
Buddha. Oh, that's lovely.
Well, thank you for being on the show and sharing it with with the viewers.
Well, I hope it does somebody some good.
I'm
It's
sure
a
it
good
will.
way to go.
Yeah.
It's a good
You
way
got
to
that
go.
right.
It is. It really is.
Yeah,
Only way
it's a
to
good
fly.
path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good path. It's not
Yeah.
so common over here,
No,
but it's a good path.
no, I think it gets,
And it's needed over here.
it is needed over here. And simplification is needed, you know. But along with that is, a lot of ritual, a lot of,
Yeah,
and it gets overwhelming.
it can.
It gets
I
overwhelming.
always say keep it simple, the keep it simple method.
I took what I needed. I took what I needed. Had fun
Yeah.
learning all the other stuff, but took what I needed.
It's like eating fish.
Okay.
Eat the meat, spit out the bones.
Like an owl.
Yeah.
That's why they're wise. They eat selectively.
Well, that's very interesting.
I didn't know that.
We have another Buddha on the panel.
Yes. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you again.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Good to see you again.
Good night, and please join us again. Our whole audience.
Thank the audience.
You done good, kid.